Welcome to this episode of r/malicious compliance, where an annoying security guard takes an employee's phone and is exposed to very personal photos. I've got 4 juicy posts for you today, and the first post is titled, "Teacher tells my little sister she can't have her lip balm, sister gives her a shriek-inducing smile." This is my sister's story, but it's too good not to share. This was back when she was in 2nd grade, and this girl was the perfect child. I wish I was kidding, but no. You know the one kid with the halo and the sweet smile, the manners to make a parent proud, and that cutesy little voice? Yep, that's her. But does she have a mean streak when you push her? You would think that all the teachers loved her, right? Nope, not her 2nd grade teacher. This woman was hellfire personified, and she for some reason hated my little sister. More often than not, my little sister came out of that classroom trying to hold back tears. 2 more very important things about my sister. She has always had lips that would get so chapped they would bleed, and she always carries around Carmex with her. So one day, she's sitting in class with hell's favorite teacher when she pulls out her little tub of Carmex, and the teacher immediately starts screeching at her to see her after class. End of class, and the teacher tells her that she must keep the Carmex in the school's office because it says medicated, and back in the day, you had to literally be dying just for the office to give you your things. No joke, I'm asthmatic, and it took almost dying on the office floor for them to hand me my inhaler over, but that's another story. My sister tries to explain that without her Carmex, her lips will bleed, but the woman does not care. Well, hell hath no fury, little sweet baby scorned. Very next morning, she doesn't use any in the morning, doesn't use any for the ride to school, doesn't use it before sister hands the little tub of Carmex over to the office lady, who looks at her very confused but just does not give a crap. And she heads off to class. She does her best to keep calm when she starts to feel her lips getting chapped, keeping her lips as drawn in and neutral as she can. She spends most of the day with her head down and not speaking until finally the teacher calls on her to answer a math question. Sister lifts her head up, looks this woman right in the eyes, and smiles as wide as she can. Tears are rolling down her cheeks, and she can feel her lips splitting open so badly that they're not just bleeding a little, it's rolling down her chin, mixing with her tears, down her neck, and onto the collar of her shirt. This woman screamed so loudly that us 3rd graders across the hall could hear it. She ended up ripping her lips so badly that they had to page little 3rd grade me to call my mom to pick her up, and she had to stay home for a couple of days to recover. When she got back, however, not only did the teacher personally hand her Carmex over, she had bought her a few more little tubs of the stuff just in case she ever ran out, and never bothered her again. I don't know if it was just coincidence that year was the last year she taught, but a little part of me likes to think that she met her match in my little sister. Alright, this next post is titled, "Open this effing door, you 4-eyed dumb butt." Okie dokie. I deliver home heating oil in a very rural and mostly flat part of the UK. In my delivery area, there are many large drainage channels or dikes in the local lingo. The roads are often very narrow, single track, and frequently run alongside these dikes, separated only by narrow grass verge. No safety barrier. Anywho, this one day in the depths of winter, it was below freezing. There had been a light spattering of snow, and there was a thin scum of ice on the water in the dike. I had just finished doing a customer's delivery and was winding in the hose prior to collecting payment and departing. My truck was completely blocking the road, and there was nowhere for me to pull it off the road. We are limited by the length of the delivery hose. Blocking the road is common and legally acceptable as long as we work quickly and safely. So, I was waiting for the customer to finish writing the check for their oil when this large Mercedes car pulls up behind my truck, and the driver immediately starts leaning on the horn and shouting and swearing and shouting at me to move the effing truck out of the way now. My usual response when faced with similar behavior is to blank the swear and pretend they don't exist. Being 6'3" and 285 pounds helps keep most people at bay. I ignored Mr. Shouty Man and finished up with my customer. The customer said to me, "Ignore him. He's well known in the village for being a bit of a dumb butt." I said goodbye and got into my truck. As I was putting away my paperwork prior to driving off, I happened to glance on the driver's side mirror and saw Mr. Shouty Man storming up the side of the truck with a tire iron in his hand. Oh crap, thinks I, and immediately hit the central locking button, locking myself in the cab. Next thing I know, Mr. Shouty Man has climbed up onto the step, is hanging off the mirror arm with one hand, and brandishing the tire arm with the other, all while shouting, "Open this door, you 4-eyed dumb butt." I wear spectacles for driving. Oh, the wit of this man, lol. Cue malicious compliance. He told me to open the door. So I did. But as I did, I kicked it open. He lost his grip on the mirror arm and was flung backwards into the dike, up to his chest in the freezing cold, filthy water. I calmly started my engine and drove off. As I left, I looked in the mirror to see this guy floundering around chest deep in the icy water, dressed in a business suit. I called the customer who had witnessed everything, and happily they said they would give a statement to whoever needed one confirming I acted in self-defense. Then I made a fairly difficult call to my boss and told him what had happened, and he said I'll await his call with interest. No bollocking, nothing. When I got back to the yard that evening, I asked my boss what had happened, and apparently no call of complaint was made that day or ever. Alright, before we get into the next post, if you guys could please do me a huge favor and smash that like button and hit subscribe so you never miss any future content. This next post is titled, I Did It My Way. Many moons ago, after I married a narcissist butthole, he started revealing his buttholery in subtle, stupid ways. One way was, he stopped doing his chores and stopped cleaning up after himself altogether. This was really insulting because I had always worked a full-time job, and before we had wed, I had been very clear that I was not going to be a housewife and that we would do things equally. Well, his answer to that was to say I couldn't make him do anything. If I wanted the house cleaned, I'd have to do it myself. For some reason, this made me think of the Simpsons episode with Blinky, the three-eyed fish, where Homer says to Marge, she can express herself with her lovely home. So I replied the way Marge did. Okay, I will, I said, and immediately set off to work. Starting with the living room, I gathered my now ex's jacket and clothing he'd left strewn about and tossed them on his computer chair. His backpack and books also dropped on the computer chair. Then I went to the kitchen and took his dirty dishes and boom, onto the chair. His dirty laundry, plop, onto the chair, which had fallen over by now, etc., until the house was clean. Yay. Now my ex couldn't use his PC till he cleaned up his crap. That first night he took it like a man. The next, when I dumped all his stuff on the chair and for good measure vacuumed the rug and dumped the canister all over his crap, he squealed like a pig. What are you doing? I'm cleaning, I answered him. You wanted me to do it all. Well, this is how I'm going to do it. He started doing his chores after that. The divorce came later. Alright, this next post is a good one, and it's titled, Security Made Us Show the Last 5 Photos on Our Phone. My coworker and absolute hero maliciously complied at security on one of our subcontractor jobs. The customer was a manufacturer for high-end electronic components. Security was tight as a small 4-inch by 6-inch box could contain $250,000 worth of microchips. Our team was installing equipment in their facility for 1 week. A security checkpoint had to be passed every trip in or out of the building. Mr. Security Guard, Chad maybe, decided my coworker, Steve probably, was more suspicious than the other 4 techs. So every trip, in or out, not only was Steve made to dump his entire contents of his backpack out on the table and go through it, Chad required Steve to show him the last 5 pictures taken on his phone to prove he wasn't stealing secrets. This is all fine, except Chad lets everyone else through without any sort of inspection. Steve is trying to stay positive, but obviously this is eating away at him. Steve tries to be overly positive and also a bit snarky with comments like, "Thank you, Paul Blart, for keeping America safe," which busts up the rest of our crew. Then, Steve has the idea that will free him the rest of the week. Wednesday comes along, Steve is overly scrutinized on our way in as usual. As we head to security at lunch, Steve says he has to go to the bathroom. He comes back out a few minutes later, absolutely giddy. Chad Blart, mall cop, stops us on our way out and asks Steve to see his camera roll. Steve gladly hands the phone over. Chad is greeted by some very peculiarly angled shots of Steve's butthole. What the F? Chad throws the phone down on the table. Oh, sorry. I thought I had a hemorrhoid and wanted to see how bad it was. Is everything okay with my pictures? Is the facility safe? Chad never checks Steve's materials again. Good on you, Steve. I wish I could see the face of that security guard when he saw that guy's butthole. Alright, that's going to conclude today's Malicious Compliance episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys could please do me a huge favor, please smash that like button, hit subscribe so you never miss any future content, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.